Why do we talk about antiquity, the Middle Ages, or even the modern era? And what does all of that mean? In this video, you'll discover in just 5 minutes how historians divide history into periods and why that helps us make sense of the past. Keep on watching. When we look at history, it can feel like an endless stream of loosely connected events. To make sense of it all, historians divide the past into different time periods. That way we can look at the bigger picture. How people moved from stone tools to cities, from empires to our digital world today. But remember that this timeline is based on our own Western history, with capital events that shaped our countries. Other parts of the world will use very different turning points and also different periods to refer to those events. When we talk about Western history, we divide it into 7 big periods. The first one is the prehistory, the second one the ancient Near East. After that came classical antiquity, then the Middle Ages, the early modern period, the modern era, and the contemporary period. Stay with us as we talk you through what all of these periods mean. Prehistory starts with the early beginnings of man and stretches up to about 3500 BC, the time before writing was invented. People lived as hunters and gatherers and later as farmers. And since there were no written records, archaeologists must rely on tools, bones and ruins to piece this era together. Around 3500 BC, writing first emerged in Mesopotamia. That is why we call it the ancient Near East. This event marks the start of the first great civilizations: Egypt, Sumer, Babylon. They developed cities, laws, and organized religions, laying the foundations of written culture. Starting around 800 BC, the Greek world flourished with democracy, philosophy, and art. Sometime later, Rome rose to dominate Europe and the whole Mediterranean. This classical antiquity, the age of Greeks and Romans, ended in 476 AD, with the fall of the Western Roman Empire. With the fall of Rome and the end of classical antiquity, Europe plunged into the Middle Ages. And the Middle Ages are a very long period, 1000 years long. That's why for this series we'll divide the Middle Ages into 3 shorter periods: the early Middle Ages, the High Middle Ages, and the Late Middle Ages. The early Middle Ages start right after the fall of Rome, and after Rome collapsed, Europe fragmented. From 476 to about the year 1000, society was mainly rural, organized through feudal ties and deeply shaped by the spread of Christianity throughout the whole of the continent. Then between 1000 AD and 1300, Europe grew rapidly. Towns expanded, trade networks were revived, and even universities were founded. Also, crusaders set out to the Holy Land. This is what we call the High Middle Ages: castles, knights, and emerging cities. In sharp contrast, the Late Middle Ages, from 1300 to 1500, were marked by crisis, famine, the Black Death, and destructive war. Yet this was also the time of early renewal. Gothic art, humanism, and even the first great voyages of exploration. From 1500 to about 1800, we speak of the early modern period. Think of the Renaissance, the Reformation, and other difficult words you'll learn along the way. There was also a time for great discoveries and scientific breakthroughs. Europe began to explore and dominate much of the world. This entire period ended with the French Revolution and the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution brings us into the modern era, from 1800 until 1945. The new era of machines transformed daily life, while nationalism, democracy, and colonial empires shaped politics. But the two world wars brought devastation on a global scale and ended this era. Since the end of the Second World War, 1945, we live in the contemporary period. The Cold War, European integration, globalization, and the digital revolution. This is the history that still shapes our everyday lives and the period in which we, our parents, and our grandparents were born. So, these historical periods are simply tools to make sense of a complex past. The borders between the periods aren't exact, and of course, other cultures will use different timelines. But still, each period builds upon the last, shaping the world we live in today. In this playlist, we'll walk you through that history step by step, from the earliest prehistory all the way down to our own time. Want to stay up to date? Then don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you won't miss the next episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you around with our other videos. That's the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Take a look around, we have a lot of other videos that might be of some interest to you.